October 1, 1961, British Southern Cameroon gained her independence by joining French Cameroon. And for us to understand the current socio-political crisis in Cameroon, we should be able to understand our past history in order to create a history in the future that the forthcoming generation will be able to understand what has been happening from then up to now. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for joining us. It is the start of a new month and of course the fourth edition of the week of Viewpoint on Dbs television to discuss about the history of Southern Cameroon and linking it to the current crisis. We are having with us a pedagogue in the studio. It is not the first time we are receiving him. Very often we have him when it comes to issues or topics concerning Cameroon. I'm talking of Justin Weber, and he will be accompanied by Mange Venashus. Good evening to you, Weber Justin. It is a pleasure having you on today's edition.
Good evening, Vanessa, and thanks for being with you people. Good evening to our televiewers.
Mange Venashus, you'll be accompanying us. Wish you a happy month start.
Actually, Vanessa, good evening. It's actually a new month that we are beginning, and it's a pleasure that we hope we are going to ride throughout the end of the month with our viewers who are always there.
All right, we use this opportunity to also wish Nigeria a happy Independence Day. They are celebrating their 60th anniversary. Let us take the first part of the show that has to do with the questions and answers. Does the 1st of October have any impact in present-day Cameroon as a historical date? Weber?
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. Mange Venashus, do you equally think the same way?
Present-day Cameroon, no.
Present-day Cameroon, no. And can honoring the date solve the ongoing crisis in the two regions?
Relatively, no.
Relatively, no. Mange Venashus?
I was thinking that it will, yes.
Yes, it will. Coming up next, let us take the second part of the show, that is the debate. Does the 1st of October have any impact in present-day Cameroon as a historical date? Weber, you think that it has actually an impact in present-day Cameroon. So how does it have?
Vanessa, you have called the right name, historical. History has it that on that 1st of October 1961, Southern Cameroon got its independence, voting to join French Cameroon. And so, except out of dishonesty, it is a historical day. A historical day because a people got their independence and the people are still in Cameroon, and anybody who says the day is not important or significant is simply dishonest to his or herself. So to me, the 1st of October being the day that Southern Cameroonians joined, because they voted on the 11th of February, but joined on the 1st of October, it was a day to be commemorated. It is a normal, one of the rights of the people to celebrate that day, to commemorate the day they joined their brothers, as they called them in those days. Even though today it is getting sour. It is a day that is supposed to be commemorated. And if it is to be commemorated, it was supposed to be part of the history of the country. But unfortunately, we are living in a country where history has been terribly distorted and dates have been disfigured because different and non-relevant events are accorded those dates. The 11th of February, which was supposed to be the plebiscite day in Cameroon, is called Youth Day. That is distortion of history, and it is not an accident, but it is deliberate. The essence of distorting it from plebiscite day to Youth Day is a systematic attempt to wipe out a certain history and to finally attain the set out goals by the French, which, as you heard President Pobia confirmed them in Paris, the target was to assimilate. And to assimilate, the first thing is to wipe out the history, wipe out the culture, wipe out the economic system, wipe out all the social and cultural system, and then finally assimilate them into another one. So this date of the 1st of October was supposed to be a historical date. If they could not commemorate it, it would have been the people, but not the state. Because the state ought to have celebrated the 1st of January every year as the Independence Day of French Cameroon, and celebrate the 1st of October as the Independence Day of Southern Cameroons. But unfortunately, we seem to be the only country in the planet that celebrates Independence Day on the day we never had independence. It brings a lot of questions. Historically, what happened? That there is such sort of deviation. So the 1st of October, to me, it is a fundamental right of the people to commemorate. Because it marks and will never be wiped out from the history of Cameroon.
All right, I would like to know, so does that date have an impact, or does it have any relation with the crisis currently going on?
Certainly. If the people got an independence or joined on the 1st of October, had a plebiscite on the 11th of February, why are they today rising? They are rising because the terms of the union are not being respected. We all know that the constitution that was drawn, which was just an amelioration of the French constitution, the French Cameroon constitution, they only ameliorated and looked at how they could fit in the Southern Cameroons, which was not a consensus of the founding fathers, because the Anglophone commission that was in Fumba was never given any time to read, criticize, and bring it back for adoption. They were given a copy, and the next day that very copy was already in application. And so, despite the fact that it was French Cameroon that put in place the constitution and wrote there that no one was supposed to tamper with it, meanwhile, deep in their hearts, they had planned how they were going to tamper with it. That is why, just after 1st of October in 61, by 63, things have started changing. 66, no more multipartism, one party system, and it was a train moving gradually. 72, a referendum, which people call it a coup d'etat, because when they were voting in 1961, the people who voted to join were different. In 72, to choose whether to change it to this, it was a different mass of persons to vote. And finally, in 84, in 84, it became a different one, which was a fiasco, where it was the use of the stroke of a pen by the present head of state to change the name of the country from the United Republic of Cameroon to the Republic of Cameroon. That is two transitions from the Federal Republic, United, to Republic, and Republic taking the name back to 1st of January 1960. Automatically, historically, it would have been a divorce that he announced himself. Because going back to 1960, when he was not yet with the Southern Cameroonians, was telling them, I am no more with you. And so if we were talking about somebody seceding, we would have started from him for having seceded from the union. And so we know that it was in 84 that trouble kick-started. When that stroke of the pen took place and they went back to their name, this, what we're having today, the real public issue started after 1984. And it was just for a period of about 10 years. Because by 1995, SCNC was already created. Because after the AAC1, AAC2, nothing was agreed upon. Everything that was proposed was shelved aside. And so, he himself sowed the seed of discord. And today, the tree that he sowed is bearing the fruits. And maybe he's looking to identify himself with the fruits of his tree. But normally, he's not supposed to. He's supposed to assume the consequences of his acts. Because the French who have pushed them have made them to do this successfully. For Mahijo, Mahijo did what he did. In 66, in 72, it was Ahijo. In 84, Pobia came in. And gradually gave birth to the SCNC, because the SCNC is first child in Southern Cameroon of His Excellency Pobia. He's the one who gave birth to that child. And the child has matured with children and almost getting grandchildren. Because we have had the scaffold, we have had this, we have had the interim government, we have so many things that are giving birth, and they are stemming from here because he abjectly refused to listen to a people. The Buya Declaration was given to him. Until today, nobody knows where it is found. And if that Buya Declaration was put in place and was implemented, nothing would have happened. When it didn't happen in 95, in Bamenda, when he chose to instrumentalize some of the people, to oppose some of the Anglophones, to oppose the other one, it was the break-even point. And the creation of the SCNC. The creation of the SCNC led to the commemoration of 1st October that every year. Since 1995 to today, they have been celebrating. And people have been arrested year in, year out. They have been tortured. They have been arbitrarily imprisoned, arbitrarily or summarily executed from 1995 to today. So it's not a new thing. So that date is having a serious impact in the present day crisis.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Wiba, for that lengthy explanation. Hopefully our televiewers are also grabbing something from the past history, linking it to the current history. But Mange Venashus, you think that the 1st of October has no impact in the present day Cameroon history?
Actually, Vanessa, when you are talking of history and impact, one would have expected that today, Vanessa, I was surprised when I turned my smartphone on and I was looking at the date today. It is clearly labeled in every Android phone, not even by Cameroonians, it's not made by Cameroonians, that 1st of October is the Independent Day in Cameroon, and it is a public holiday, something that is never respected. That is the impact I would have expected. I love the historical, fact that Mr. Wiba is giving. He is outlining the situation or what brought us to where we are, and outlining what happened that we are as we are today. But then, the other part of Cameroon, our French brothers, systematically refused to accept the fact that this union that was born in 1961 should live on. Every effort and attempt, like he was explaining, have been made to silence anything called Southern Cameroon. And unfortunately, this Southern Cameroon has refused to die. This Southern Cameroon is, insisting that we must leave. When I talk of having no impact in present day Cameroon is, when you started the program, you were wishing, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, a happy anniversary. They are celebrating their 60th anniversary equally today. That is a historical fact. That is a historical impact in the history of Nigeria. When you ask each country the historical significance of the observances they have in their country, they link it to what happened, to an event. That is why in Cameroon, 1st of October has nothing. It is not even a public holiday. It is a normal working day. A normal day like any other day. Then when we come to 11th of February, we celebrate it. What are we celebrating? When we come to 20th of May, we're celebrating. What is the impact that we're celebrating on the 20th of May? I was saying that in a normal circumstances, this 1st of October should have been the day that Cameroon should be celebrating their national day. Because the present triangle that we have today came to birth this 1st of October. But nothing happens. That is what I mean by it has no impact on present day Cameroon as a historical date. Because if you ask the authorities in Cameroon, everything, like Mr. Wiba is saying, we grew up to understand that 1st of October, that's what they taught us in school, was the independent days of Southern Cameroon. But then it only ended in, or it ends in books, until the Southern Cameroon movement came up and started propagating it, started putting it into action, until today that we're talking about it, when bloodshed is already, we are celebrating it, with bloodshed throughout the Southern Cameroon, the Northwest and Southwest regions. So I think that if we were to give this date a historical date, like in some countries, when you listen to some countries, you get when they were liberated from foreign oppressors or from their colonial masters or all these dates. But we don't have it in Cameroon. If we have to tell young Cameroonians, when was Cameroon liberated from the colonial masters, which date are we going to give? Is it 1984? Is it 11th of February? So we don't have any day that we celebrate in Cameroon. Historically speaking, we don't have it. Whereas today is actually the day that, because we would have celebrated the 1st of January 1960 and 1st of October 1961. These are the two dates that gives us what we call Cameroon. We were talking about the German Cameroon that existed at the time when the German explorers and the coastal chiefs were signing the treaties they were going in for. They did not consult the Fonoso. They did not consult the Lamido in the far north, in Adamawa, or consult the chiefs in the central region or the east region. The Cameroon at the time was not as what we have today. So the present day Cameroon that we have is supposed to start from this 1st of October. But nothing is happening. That's what I mean by 1st of October, that it has no historical date in present day Cameroon. It doesn't mean that it does not have any historical significance. It does. It carries all the significance that Mr. Wuba was outlining. Those are the events that happen. And one thing with history is you can silence, you can thwart history, you can thwart historical fact, but you will never kill it. Because as it happened, it has existed and it will live on. We are talking about this 1st of October. There is no way it will ever die. Children who are living in the bush or in the bushes today, children who are witnessing their parents being killed, being driven home, running up and down today, they are growing up with it and it will never die. I remember one honorable member in Cameroon said, it will never die, and it is not dying, it is living till today. It was one Mr. Wuba too. It is living today. So I think that historically speaking, the significance of it, it remains. But the observance of it, the impact is not felt. Ask any other Cameroonian today, 1st of October, what does it call to mind? Few may understand. To be frank, few may understand. Yeah. Because it was already...
In some TV stations yesterday, that was what I actually saw. Many Cameroonians don't know the significance of the 1st of October.
Because it was politically made in such a way that they should not know what is happening. It was, systematically planned that it should mean nothing. If it were to be something, then Cameroon should have been observing 2 national days or 2 days of national observances. That is why I was asking myself, anybody it is a challenge I'm giving to any viewer who's following us. Open your smartphone, go to your calendar. Open the 1st of October. You will see it as Independent Days of Southern Cameroon, and besides it is written a public holiday in the Cameroons. A public holiday in the Cameroon, which we in Cameroon, we do not respect it. That is the impact I mean. It has no impact in present day Cameroon. Vanessa.
Thank you very much, Mange Venashus, for your point of view as well. Question 2, can honoring the dates of the ongoing crisis in the 2 regions? Wiba, I will turn to you. You think that it is not going to solve the crisis in the 2 regions? Is that so?
It's very clear, Vanessa. It cannot solve. The celebration of this day is a mere commemoration. But what are the root causes of the crisis? The root causes of the crisis are not about the 1st of October. They're about a people whose fundamental rights are trampled upon for decades. And those fundamental rights are listed. A number of memoranda have been addressed and tabled before the authorities have been, and they have it right to the UN, but no one is reacting. The problem is that they can celebrate, like I said, it was a fundamental right according to people. It's a right to celebrate, a right to expression. Because people are expressing themselves. It's a right to expression, which is a fundamental human right. It's normal to do it, but it cannot solve, because at the table we know that the Anglophones are self-determined and they want to rule themselves. They want power to come from the grassroots. But power in the Cameroons comes from above. There is an almighty who can decide today that you are not supposed to exist, and you don't exist. You disappear. And we are seeing it. It's happening on a daily basis. They can decide you should be arrested, and you are arrested. They can decide that you should be arrested and killed without judgment. But after that, they tell you that we are in a country of law. The state of law, where people are arrested and summarily killed. This has been happening since 1995. Year in, year out. People, when they read statistics, they don't know what has happened within 4 years. But from 1995, they have been killing. The men in uniform have been killing since 1995. They have number of people of Southern Cameroon who have been killed, and you ask, why are they killed? What is their crime? For declaring a historical fact, is it the Southern Cameroonians who voted Resolution 1608 in the UN General Assembly? No. It was voted by the members of the UN General Assembly that from now henceforth, these people have a right to self-determination and self-governance. And that is why they went, depending on the reports that were presented to them, they thwarted it and gave two options and did not give the third one. And the consequences are today. So if we are to commemorate this day, we cannot solve the problem. Let us go to the root causes. The root causes are to give the people the power they want. And that power will come only from what? From the people. The people choose to vote to come to the Cameroons. As is declared, the people voted in 1972 for the country to transform from a federal republic to a united republic. But since then, it has been a rule by ordinances. The people have been sidelined and praised, compressed with power to accept. And that has led to resistance. And so, the documents are there and pick just what was written down in the Buea Declaration and pick point by point. And they will handle. If they want to handle the crisis that they claim to be handling, they need to deal with the right people. Sometimes I'm embarrassed to hear somebody telling us that the government doesn't know with whom to deal. How did they know those to go and arrest from Nigeria? How did they identify them?
Alright, so what are the right people to deal with?
They know the right people. They are the people who went and arrested and came and kept, and they have not released them because they know why they are keeping them. They are keeping them as leaders, and they call it themselves leaders. And they cannot discuss with those leaders, and they claim they don't know with whom to discuss. That is intellectual dishonesty. So they should get to the root cause and ask the people what they want. We have seen in many platforms, people have identified three things in the Southern Cameroons today. The Southern Cameroons are divided into three groups. There are those who are pro-decentralization. There are those who are for federation. And there are those who are for separation. Those are three simple things that any person can diagnose. Even a primary teacher can do that. And the simple thing is, ask the people, which one are the majority for? If we say that we're in a democracy, give the people the chance. Let them choose.
Let them choose.
They will tell you what they are. The majority will choose, the rest will follow. But since we want cosmetic solutions, we are obliged to call large dialogues, or whether they give what names to it, and come out with special status. We don't know how special the status is. We come out with all type of cosmetic solutions, which are not yielding any fruit on the ground. As we are sitting here this morning, you cannot count the number of people who have been killed. Somebody just called me 5 killed in one village, removed from the house early in the morning and killed. But the real Amba boys are in the bush. Nobody's going to the bush. They are breaking into homes, removing those who are innocent, and summarily assassinating them. When you listen, like to the governor of the Northwest, he says, keep Bamena clean. By doing what? By eliminating all males that you meet, because the other part is not completed. And then when you see what is happening in the field, you see that's what is lacking from that statement. Keep Bamena clean by doing what? Is it by sweeping? What are they doing? They are eliminating all the males they meet. We saw what was posted last time concerning Bali. How many were there? The number that was in the water, they don't know how many went. Those who are lying. And so, when we look at all this, we find that the will to resolve the crisis is not there. And the will is not there. Why? Because the person who is playing, or who has paid the piper, as we say, is the one who is dictating the tune. And the person who has paid the piper is France, who makes sure what they want is realized. And what they want is to suppress until Anglophones give in to their whims and caprices. And then the Cameroon government is there to apply the same, like the generals tell us in the field. Like in Gabo, the general said, they were applying instructions from above. If you were to put the Cameroon government into that very pressure, they will tell you that they were implementing instructions.
They are implementing instructions from above.
There are no intentions to resolve the crisis. If they want to resolve, let them get back to the people. Give them the option to choose democratically, and the people will choose, and the problem will be resolved.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wiba. Mange Venatius, you say that honoring the state or the date can solve the ongoing crisis in the two regions. In your first point, you were talking of like not recognizing the day as an official holiday. So if recognizing it as an official holiday, would that be able to appease the people?
Vanessa, when this crisis started in 2016, 2017, there was one word that kept coming: the marginalization of Anglophones. Anglophones were crying that they do not feel their existence in this Cameroon because they were like second-class citizens. And they are like second-class citizens because dates like this, what gives them their being, what recognizes them as individual, as an entity, is what they see going away. I am of the opinion that if we could come back to recognize the fact that there at one time existed a southern Cameroon, which is still existing, a southern Cameroon, because we still have the northwest and southwest regions. If we can come back to respect it, I think that notion of marginalizing the Anglophones would certainly die down and may start bringing down. Because if we recognize that they existed, it means, because in Fumban in 1961, they came together as two independent states merging to form a federation. In Nigeria, for example, one state, or Abuja, which is the capital state, cannot get up today and claim some authority over another state. They are states of equal status. In Fumban, what was in the minds of Anglophones who went in there was two states are coming together to form a federation that we call the Federal Republic of Cameroon. But as time went on, like Mr. Wiba started explaining at the beginning of the program, you discover that the notion of the federation that Anglophones had was not the notion of the federation that the French brothers had. That is why it gradually started changing, practically 1.5 years, 2 years away from 1961. And from there on, every attempt were made to assimilate, like somebody said, assimilate them. Assimilating them means wiping out what is theirs and giving out what is not theirs to them. If we can start respecting the 1st of October as an independent day in Cameroon, I think that it would soften the hearts of Anglophones to know that at least we have a place here. Because if they are celebrating it as a national day, as an independent day in Cameroon, take a child in Mora, in Marwa, in the Far North region. That child, when they ask the question, what are they celebrating today? That child will have an answer. Take the child in the East region, in Betua, in Ebolova, in the South. That child will be able to tell you what we are celebrating. But today, ask them, 1st of October, they will not understand.
Today we have mature men and women that
do not even. So I think that by respecting it, we are inculcating into Cameroonians that at one point in this country existed two states, two equal states in status, because it was an independent state that went to Fumban in 1961. It was not a region, it was not a province of Cameroon, of La République to Cameroon. It was an independent state that made two states together to have what we have. So I think that if we respect it, we are in one way giving them that recognition that it was a people that exist, that are still existing today, Vanessa.
Thank you very much, Mange Venatius. Mr. Wiba, maybe your closing remark concerning this particular date in Cameroon to Cameroonians.
Yeah, what I would like to say is that the Cameroonian people, especially of the English expression, should be allowed to rejoice from one of their fundamental rights, the right to expression, to commemorate the 1st of October, the day they themselves choose to come and join their brothers. If their brothers don't really want to celebrate, let them leave them free. Because this militarization of the zone, like today, the army is up to the brick. It is like it is a war. They are out in their numbers. It is not helping any situation. Secondly, the government should be honest to itself. If it is a government of the people and for the people, It should be honest to itself and look for lasting solutions to the problem which have been proposed from all spheres of life, which they have not respected. And lastly, to say that there is no one who is going to deceive God. We like it or not, something is going to happen, and it will be fine. The final thing will be the people's wish. It can last for how long? They have warned that you should never allow independent tendencies to bird. And they have allowed this one, it has birded and it has flowered. It is going to bear fruit.
It is going to bear fruit. Thank you very much, Mr. Wiba Justin, a pedagogue. Thank you very much for your contribution.
You're welcome, Vanessa. It's a pleasure always being with you people.
Mangavena Shoes, hope to have you tomorrow.
We'll be there, Vanessa. Tomorrow is another day.
And ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow is another day. Hope to have you as well. Stay tuned to DBS Television. Do have a blessed night. Good night.